The Olive Hill project site, this area has no name, but due to the heavy infestation of olive found here when the Friends of Black Hill and Morialta first began its revegetation program in 1986, it was appropriate to give it the name Olive Hill. The Olive Hill revegetation area rises to a height of 250 metres and is found in the Morialta Conservation Park in the foothills of the Adelaide Hills. It is approximately 8 kilometres from Adelaide and adjacent to residential developments on its western and southwestern boundaries. Olive Hill is unfortunately typical of many areas adjacent to settled areas where native vegetation has been removed for agricultural or horticultural pursuits, then abandoned. Agricultural activities modify and increase soil fertility, enabling weeds to quickly become established and take over any remnant native vegetation which may still exist. In addition to residual weed populations found on the site, weed species are introduced into such areas by wind, mud on vehicles, on animal fur and by other vectors. Introduced animals such as starlings, blackbirds, foxes, which eat olive fruits along with other weed species, disperse seeds widely in their scats. It has been recorded that olives were sparse in 1949, but by the 1980s they had become well established. Thickets of olives form a dense canopy which obliterates native vegetation, prevents its regeneration, and due to the high oil content presents a high fire hazard. The soils on Olive Hill are mainly clay loams which are variable in fertility, overlying limestone with some quartzite outcropping. The vegetation to the eastern and northern aspects is mainly Eucalyptus porosa, and in the southwestern areas there are stands of Eucalyptus leucoxylon. The project history and future actions are: in 1986, the Friends of Black Hill and Morialta held its inaugural meeting, and in the same year National Parks and Wildlife chose Olive Hill as our first project site. The aim was to totally remove all olives, replace them with endemic native vegetation, and continue to monitor the area to keep olives and other weeds under control. We made a long-term commitment, and the following steps were taken to bring this area to its present state. A survey revealed 55 remnant species over a 5-year period. Many species were poorly represented, and in a number of instances only by 1 or 2 specimens. In 1986, the Friends of Black Hill and Morialta, along with National Parks and Wildlife, commenced removing olive trees. The service employed heavy equipment to rip out trees, while volunteers adopted a cut and swab chemical method. When sufficient area was cleared, particularly on the western slopes, planting commenced, and each year plantings have taken place using tube stock raised by the group from local and nearby seed sources. Weed control and planting are ongoing processes, and the long-term involvement of Year 10 students from Pembroke School and students from local primary schools and other volunteers supporting the Friends have indeed made a significant contribution to changing the character and the biodiversity of Olive Hill.